Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So today was actually not a bad day overall, all things considered. But obviously the comments from Fed Powell there kind of spooked the markets with his comment about December not being a locked-in or not being a shoe-in for rate cuts. That when he said that, right at that moment, markets, Bitcoin, miners, everything fell at that point. Everybody freaked out. I think it was just like the algos reacting to that. I mean, you can't expect him to say something like that anyways, but it is what it is. We got the rate cuts in. We got quantitative easing happening as well at the end of by December, I think he said. So that's going to be happening for us there. We got a bunch of good news stories on the miners as well. Cleanspark, Terawulf, even Amazon, some of the other, Google had a great earnings report. That thing is up nicely. We got some other things to talk about as well. So we'll get into all that. We'll take a look at obviously what happened with the miners, Bitcoin and all that, but we'll get through it all. Not financial advice as always. For entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out. And let's take a look at here what happened with Bitcoin here. So if we look at it on the chart here, this is on the 1 minute chart here. This is right then and there when Powell basically said, rate cuts for December are not guaranteed, more or less. This was at 135 roughly. And you can see how Bitcoin, and then if you look at other charts as well for the markets themselves, for the miners, they all pretty much copy this or parody this action here. So Bitcoin went down quite a bit there, went down 1,297 within a minute, and then continued to fall back down, another couple, about another 1,000 something after that as well. It kind of bounced back up here a little bit, and then it kind of traded sideways for a while, went up actually a little bit higher, going back to where it was, and then we fell back down even more at that point, right around, see that fall off started happening at 4:30 roughly, and we fell all the way through, it looks like 6:30, so about 2 hours worth of falling here. We bottomed out twice here, looks like, and now we're kind of back up a little bit at least. So overall, not too bad, right? But again, like I said, who was expecting Powell to come out and say, yeah, we're going to be doing rate cuts in December? It's a guaranteed. I mean, I didn't expect that. I don't think you guys expected it either. So it's kind of like, why is the market panicking when he says those types of things? It's kind of like, duh. Yeah, he's going to say that. Obviously, it's not a shoe-in. It's not locked in, right? They need to see the data coming out. So it's all manipulation there on the markets. Plus, we're at the end of the month here. I think that's also having an impact on it as well. But we can see here that Bitcoin did actually bounce off the 200 simple day moving average on the green line here, which was nice to see. Right, we kind of fell below it before, we bounced above it, and we were battling with the 50 and the 100 simple moving day average as well, the last couple of days at least, and we're bouncing back off of this. I don't know if we're going to be green tomorrow or not. We might be green by Friday maybe, once everybody kind of digests this information that we have here. And then we go up higher from there, I think, going into November here. So it looks like October for us for Bitcoin might be a red month for us. For the first time in a while that we've had it on a yearly basis here. Markets overall were in the red here except for NASDAQ. NASDAQ was up today. I think it's because of the, Mag 7, they're holding them up a little bit. NVIDIA reached over $5 trillion market cap, making it like the most valued company. It's even more valued than like Japan. I think it's only behind the U.S. and like China as far as valuation is concerned. But it's just insane how much demand there is for AI chips and all that stuff here. We do have a story on Amazon, the site that they built out in Indiana. We'll take a quick look at that. That one is actually pretty interesting there. But yeah, markets overall are in the red here. Ethereum was also in the red here. Ethereum was down today, 1.91%. Miners, like I said, during the day, they were actually up higher, again in the morning hours, and then came back down here towards the speech by Powell and continued to fall after that. Bitfarms was down just a little bit though, 0.93%. BitDeer was down 4.15%. Kanga was down 1.73%. Cypher was down 1.85%. Cleanspark at one point was like up 6, 7, 8% at one point during the day. And then it actually closed out being down 1.36%. That was based on the news that they entered into Texas there, right? We'll talk about that here in a second. CORZ continued to go up here to up another 3.38% here. We are getting close. I think tomorrow is the vote, if I'm not mistaken, on whether or not the shareholders approve the acquisition by CoreWeave, of course, Scientific. We'll see if that goes through tomorrow or not. Hive was down 0.36%. Hut 8 was actually up 3.36%. IREN was down 3.2%. Mara was more or less flat on the day. Riot was up 2.85, and Wolf was down 9.03% today. They also came out with more convertible notes that they're going to be offering there, roughly 500 million or so. We'll take a look at that news story as well on it. So it's a mixed bag on the miners here for the most part. The holding companies, same thing, more or less a mixed bag. A lot of red, 2 in the green here. So MicroStrategy was down 3.26%. That one got to a recent low here as well. Galaxy was down 2.23%. Block was down 4.58%. Coin was down 1.86. MetaPlanet was up 6.11%. Exodus was down 1.36. Nexon was down 0.33. Similar was down 4.52. Phoenix was down 4.95. GameStop was up 0.34. Small miners, we can see all of these guys were in red here. Annie was down just a little bit, 2.5. Argo was down 14.87. This thing has been obviously coming back down to reality here, it seems like, after getting to a high of 95 cents. So that one's coming back down. DigiPower was down 11.15%. DMG was down 3.62. Mawson was down 4.69%. Canon was down 5.52%. Kind of seeing a similar pattern with all of these smaller guys here, right? Peaking right around the middle of October here, it looks like, and then coming back down pretty hard on some of these guys. So that's kind of interesting to see that. Bitcoin miner ETFs were in the red here, 1 to 2% roughly. Ethereum holding companies, BMNR was down 5.29%, but Digital was up actually 1.06%, BTCS was down 2.58%, Game was down 3.32%, SBET was down 0.95%, and then other companies we track here. American Bitcoin was down 3.52%, Wi-Fi was just down just a little bit, 0.18%, Open was down 4.02%, Oracle was down 1.97%, Nibius was actually up 2.68%, Soluna was up 10.65%, Bakkt was down 2.6%, Fermi was down 3.85%. After having a nice rally here in the last couple of days. And then that's pretty much it here that we have on this. If we look at the miners here after hours right now, it's kind of mixed right now. Some are in the green, some in the red here. We can see that BitDeer is up 0.82%. Bitfarms is actually down 1.41%. Cypher is down 1.74%. Cleanspark is actually now up a little bit. It was down. It's up 0.32%. CORZ Scientific is up nicely, 5.3% there. Hive is up 2.16%. Hut 8 is up 1.12%. IREN is down 1.03%. Mara Holdings is, let's see where that one comes in at. That one's still up a little bit, 0.42%. Riot is up, well, actually it's now down 0.27%. And then Terawulf lastly is, once this loads, up 1.38%. So overall kind of mixed bag, but overall on the plus side on things. So that's not too bad. Bitcoin, on the other hand, here for the month of October is down 2.9% here, right? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of greens in October here. We're breaking that pattern there. Prior to that, we had 1 red month, 3 good ones, and then 1 red, 1 green as well. So a little surprised by that. Thought we were going to actually get a green month here, or more so in October than we did in September actually. So things kind of flip-flopped on us a little bit on that one. Bitcoin ETF inflows here for today. We had 204 million yesterday, with 59.6 million coming in from BlackRock there. Nobody is reported here right now, at least, so we don't have any data on that for today. We'll find that out tomorrow. Fed Watch tool here for December. We're still 67.8% thinking that we're going to get another 25 basis point rate cut here, right? So it's not below 50%, which is good. We're above 50%. So there's still obviously some optimism that we will get some more rate cuts as things progress there. So all is not that bad. All right, some of the stories that we do have here. Breaking, 500 million MasterCard just said it will acquire Bitcoin infrastructure firm Zero Hash for $2 billion. Credit giants are adopting BTC. It's coming. Yeah, I mean, it's slow but steady adoption that we're seeing here. And we've seen actually some pretty good adoption here this past year in Bitcoin. Nonetheless, the Bitcoin price has not done that well. Next year, big tech earnings crush. Google earnings per share came in at 287 versus 227 estimated there. Revenue went up to 102 billion versus 100 billion. This is the first time they reached 100 billion per quarter. So they're basically generating about roughly 400 billion annual run rate right now as it is. Meta came in at 105 versus 667 expected. They had a big tax charge. The stock is down after hours on that one. And then Microsoft came in at 413 versus 366. Revenue with 77.67 billion versus 75.39 billion. Big tech companies continue to execute. They're generating more and more revenue on AI, and all that stuff is definitely helping them there. So that's great to see. And then obviously here, breaking the S&P falls nearly 1% from its high of the day as Fed Chair Powell says the December rate cut far from certain, right? So that's kind of what we talked about earlier. It wasn't just the S&P, it was everything pretty much that fell today because of those comments. So we got Powell and Trump with the strength to move the markets there. So this will subside. I'm not too worried about this. This is just a gut reaction to it. We will be much higher in several weeks, if not next week. Here we go. Fed Chair Powell said this is concerning the bubble that a lot of people are talking about in AI, and this is the same stance that I have as him as well. But Fed Chair Powell says that this isn't like a dot-com era because these companies have real earnings and business models. He acknowledging the cycle is built on cash flow and the capital being deployed into AI infrastructure is funding operating businesses and not speculative ideas, which is very, very true, right? I mean, if you recall going back down to the dot-com bubble, you had a bunch of companies that really had no revenues or very little revenues, but were getting valuations that were just unrealistic. They're way, way out in the stratosphere there. So I agree with him there. This is not a bubble, and all these companies are generating revenue, and it's only increasing for them. So this is great, right? Because that obviously means that we're going to have more infrastructure for all of this stuff here, and the miners have really good megawatts, so that should bode well for them. Next here, Powell said the words data center 55 times today, and you're bearish IREN cipher Bitfarms. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the speech there, he mentioned it a lot. So this is not a time to be bearish. This is a time to be very, very bullish on the space going forward here. We're at I would say, probably early innings to middle innings right now on this stuff. We're still going to be, building out for the next couple of years here for sure. And then lastly here, this is from Andy Jassy. He is the CEO, I believe, of Amazon there. Yeah, he is. Just drawing a blank on that one. So here's a quick information from them. So about a year ago, the site near South Bend, Indiana, was just cornfields. Today, it's one of our U.S. data centers providing Project Rainier, one of the world's largest AI computing clusters built in collaboration with Anthropic. It is 70% larger than any AI computing platform in AWS history, with nearly 500,000 Trainium 2 chips. Those are chips that are specifically designed and manufactured by Amazon there, and is now fully operational with Anthropic actively using it to train and run inference for its industry-leading AI model. Claude providing 5x plus the compute they used to train their previous AI models. We expect Claude to be on more than 1 million Trainium 2 chips by the end of the year. So that is huge growth there. This will help enable the next generation of AI innovation as we further extend our infrastructure leadership from Amazon, obviously, here. And you can see their site here. Let's take a quick look at this because this is actually pretty cool and interesting to take a look at. This data center, the AI chips that they are using are like their own in-house chips. They're not as fast as the NVIDIA chips, right? So they're a little bit slower, but they cost less, and they can squeeze more of those chips into a data center. And I believe they said it costs less, plus it costs less to run them as well. So there's a trade-off on that, and they are happy with that trade-off on that. Okay, here, take a listen to this. Right, pretty cool, pretty interesting facility there. Then they got this thing built and running within basically a year and a couple months. That is just outstanding job by them. So cornfields to AI factory within a year and a half, roughly. It is doable. We've obviously seen it doable from Elon Musk's XAI as well. We're seeing it from others. Meta putting up these huge tents to build these things out as fast as possible. The race is on for AI, and the race for general artificial intelligence or super intelligence is really on right now between a couple of these companies here. Anthropic, obviously, OpenAI just came out. I think today there's a report that they're looking to go public with a $1 trillion valuation, possibly. That is just insane. And then you got obviously Google in there. You got XAI. Who else is in that space? Meta, obviously. Gosh, all these guys here are all trying to get to that super intelligence, which could then obviously unleash new technologies, new materials, new sciences, new math, everything is beyond our, beyond our comprehension right now of as far as what could be possible here in the next couple of years. Okay, so the future is very, very exciting here with all of this stuff happening here. I'm extremely bullish on this space. Yeah, I would just say that. I'll just leave it at that. Extremely bullish on it. Love what I'm seeing here right now happening here, and this is nowhere near being a bubble, in my opinion. All right, next, we got a couple of those stories here from Cleanspark and Terawulf. Let's get into that here. Let me see if I put that in the right spot there. We'll take a look at this one. What is this one? I think that was just me. Let's see. Yep, that was just nothing. Okay, let's go here. Cleanspark. So Cleanspark, right? We talked about Cleanspark possibly going into Texas a couple of weeks back when Matthew Schultz posted he loves Texas, right? At that point, I basically replied to his post and asked if Cleanspark loves Texas. Didn't hear back. Now we know that Cleanspark does love Texas. So Cleanspark enters Texas market with land and large-scale power acquisition to rapidly deploy an AI data center in greater Houston. This is great news. Right, we're seeing obviously the hire of, I'm drawing a blank on the gentleman's name right now, but that was a great hire. We also saw them partnering with a company as well. Drawing a blank on that company right now as well. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that company right now. But it's just like 1, 2, 3. They're just continuing to execute on this, which is great to see here. So here's what we have. So today, Cleanspark has acquired the rights to approximately 271 acres of land in Austin County and executed a long-term power supply agreement totaling 285 megawatts to support the development of next-generation data center campuses. That is awesome to see that. Under the terms of the purchase agreement, the company paid a combination of cash consideration and shares of the company common stock at closing, plus additional cash considerations payable upon the occurrence of post-closing events there. Okay, so no really dilution there, which is good. And then located at a regional fiber backbone and supported by strong grid infrastructure with close proximity to numerous high-capacity natural gas pipelines. So that's the interesting part there, right? Which are being evaluated for industrial scale behind-the-meter generation opportunities. So possibly building out, maybe they could, I don't know if they want to do that, but maybe they could build out their own generation there with gas turbines potentially. That would be interesting to see that. The site provides a highly advantageous platform for Cleanspark's continued diversification beyond Bitcoin mining to high-performance computing. The transaction represents a key step in the company's long-term strategy to leverage its vertically integrated infrastructure-first model to unlock value across its power and land portfolio there. This acquisition marks the major milestone in Cleanspark's strategic business evolution, said Matt Schultz there. Securing power and land at this scale is one of the nation's most attractive markets, positions us to meet the accelerating demand for AI compute while continuing to deliver long-term value for our shareholders. We continue to lead in Bitcoin mining, are actively reviewing AI conversations and opportunities across our existing portfolio, and have now entered the Texas markets with a site purpose acquired for AI HPC. So that was great to hear that they are reviewing AI or are actively reviewing AI conversations, opportunities across their existing portfolio. So they do have some interest maybe at some of the other sites that they have. I think the big one for them will be obviously the one in Georgia and Atlanta. I think they have 2 or 3 facilities around there that are probably going to be ideal for that. We'll see if anything comes of that. Continuing on here, Cleanspark has built a track record of identifying and developing digital infrastructure in energy advantaged regions, said Harry Sudik there. This site is strategically between Houston and Austin at the intersection of abundant power, fiber connectivity, and pro-development energy policy. As we move into the design and construction phase of this project, we will evaluate opportunities to secure additional energy on site and pursue other regional projects in parallel. So that's great. So they're looking at other things as well, also on that. And this is also good news here. A substation construction plan is already underway with a long lead time item secured, and Cleanspark intends to begin site design and development immediately, with phase development expected to support AI workloads as the company continues to expand its digital infrastructure platform. Energization of more than 200 megawatts is expected in the first half of 2027, so we're about a year out, more or less. Right, year and a half out before that site gets energized. But at least it gets them in that direction and going forward from there. So They got key personnel in place now. They'll probably get some more people, I believe, as well to help them build this out and design it, things like that. They're also got a partner that they're working to design the stuff. We talked about it yesterday. And now they got the sites here, the land, which is, I believe this is going to be their biggest site that they have here, 285 megawatts. I think this is going to be their biggest site that they currently have. Right, the other sites that they have are up to like 200 megawatts and less than that. But this obviously puts them up at about 1.3 gigawatts, I think, of secured power right now. So that's awesome to see there. And look forward to more news on this as it obviously develops going forward here. A couple of things that we do have here, though. Attached to this is from Ernest Hamilton there. New analysts report out Clearstreet maintains their buy rating and target of $30 for Cleanspark there. Right, so that's basically another 33% increase from where they are right now, 30-40%, something like that, right? Potential client within 6 months. They have fiscal year 2027 annual revenue at $2 billion potentially. They cited today's news and shared their vote of confidence with management. Management has executed on several important catalysts that we called out earlier this month, including developing a best-in-class data center development team and buying new assets. We expect the company to continue to seek out similar M&A opportunities as management actively pursues expansion into high-performance computing. In addition, we believe it's likely that management may announce an HPC client within the next 6 months. So that's pretty interesting there, right? So congrats to the team, obviously at Cleanspark there. Great way to get into this HPCI space, right? And go forward from there. This is also from Ernest here. H.C. Wainwright provided their report on Cleanspark after the latest Texas announcement as well. Key takeaways: Texas site could provide $3.8 billion of value for Cleanspark by 2027. Price target went from $25 to $30, so similar to the other one as well. And then here's a quote: major step forward in Cleanspark's AI data center strategy, which I agree there. Opinion: the re-rating is happening quickly, although today's news is being suppressed from the price of BTC, in my opinion. This is obviously from Ernest there. So, but this is great news. And then also HC, I think it was HC Wainwright that actually put a sell order on IREN, right, with a price target of like 40 some odd dollars from a buy. So that's kind of interesting there on that one. So I got something to keep an eye on that. And then lastly, here we got Terawulf here. Terawulf obviously announced a deal with FluidStack, a joint venture with them yesterday, and today they came out with another proposed private offering of $500 million of convertible notes. So today they announced that it intends to offer, subject to market conditions and other factors, $500 million aggregate principal amount of convertible senior notes due 2032. Terawulf also expects to grant the initial purchasers of the convertible notes an option to purchase within 13-day period beginning on and including the date on which the convertible notes are first issued, up to an additional $75 million aggregate principal amount of the convertible notes, which is kind of customary. We've seen this before with others as well. The company intends to use the net proceeds to fund a portion of the cost of the construction of a data center campus in Abernathy, Texas, and for general corporate purposes. But they just got a $3.2 billion note as well. Surprised that they need that. Maybe they do need that much. The convertible notes will be senior unsecured obligations of the company. The convertible notes will not bear regular interest, and the principal amount of the convertible notes will not accrete. Okay, so same old boilerplate stuff that we've seen before as well. And there's nothing else changes here, but obviously, I think that's why the stock was down a little bit more than others today because of that news. So this is obviously gets them to the cash that they need to build out and everything else, and they have been doing very, very well, which, as we're seeing more and more companies stop providing their monthly operation updates, IREN was the last one that stopped doing it. We are, or at least I am, I'm putting back Bitfarms into those spreadsheets that I have. Terawulf is going to go back into there as well. Hut 8 will go back into it as well, but they'll just not have the monthly information. They'll have the quarterly information, where they are with megawatts, things like that. I'm working on that right now, and that is a work in progress. So we can see the Bitfarms is already in here. Working on that one. We have all the quarterly data on them. Terawulf will be happening here shortly. I'll be working on that probably over the weekend here, if not maybe tomorrow a little bit as well, and Friday, and then obviously finishing it up on the weekend as well. So I want to get that one in, and then Hut 8 is going to be the next one we put in here back as well, and then we'll have just one sheet instead of having this monthly sheet that we always looked at, and then the quarterly sheet that we looked at with the other miners that weren't reporting. And then we'll see obviously if CORZ Scientific, is able to stay as its own entity, or if it's going to get acquired by CoreWeave there this coming week. All right, so that'll be interesting to see on that one, and then that'll depend whether or not that one's included. All right, that's it. not much else has changed as far as spreadsheets here for the miners here. So I haven't really posted any updates on Patreon. Once I do finish up Terawulf and Bitfarms, obviously I'll post that up. And then if we have any other updates, we do have Riot reporting the 30th, I think, tomorrow. Is that correct? I think Riot's reporting their quarterly results tomorrow. So that will get updated here, and then I'll provide this up to you guys for the Patreon members there. So if you want to join there, get access to all the spreadsheets and everything else, you're more than welcome to do that, and I'd appreciate it. It's a couple bucks a month. Okay, that's my sales pitch. Let's get into Q&A here, so what you guys had to say, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Let's go here where I wanted to go, and let's see. As always, if you could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And I'm going to scroll my way up, and we'll work our way down as always. Let's see what I want to do. I'm going to change this so I can see. Actually, I can't see it. Okay, it fixed itself. All right, let's see what we got here as far as questions and comments in the beginning, and we'll work our way down through it. Let's see. Victor says, Jerome Powell will be leaving office. It doesn't matter if he doesn't cut in December. Well, it does matter a little bit, obviously, depending on what the economy is doing, right? So if he cuts a little bit more, depending on the jobs, right, where the job numbers come in and things like that, and where is inflation at right now? Inflation is pretty good and kind of in check right now. We'll see. But yeah, he still may be forced to cut in December. We don't know yet right now. Rob says Powell really messed the day up today for the miners. And well, not only for the miners, for the market in general as well. Let's see, quantitative tightening ending only. Okay, that's what it is. So that should be good also. Guy says, what's your new earnings price target for Cleanspark for this year, since they had good news today and yesterday, and also October earnings price target for Cleanspark? October, I mean, Cleanspark right now is, what is it, at $19 today, I think it was, right, if I'm not mistaken here. Where did it finish up today? $18.89, yeah, so like $19 today. I think it should be, well, for the month, we got 2 more days left to go. I think it'll be around 19 to like 19.50 possibly, somewhere around there, maybe get to 20. If we have a good, at least one of these days might be good for us, we'll see. And then as far for the end of the year here, I'm expecting somewhere around $25. I'd like to see that if things go our way, maybe to $30 possibly. But we need more good news on that. Okay, Rob says Powell is like a Biden or Obama. Well, wasn't he chosen by Trump in the last administration, right? Where am I mistaken that? I thought Powell was chosen by Trump for some reason. Artiful says, good morning from the UK. Can you please check the M2 money supply graph? It is working as expected. Yeah, if you follow that and overlay Bitcoin on that with a offset on a number of days, it does follow it pretty well. I think eventually we'll run up here. It's just a matter of when. Stephen, miners will resume up by Wolf. Yeah, by Wolf, by Cypher, by Cleanspark, by IREN, by all these things. I think they're all going much higher. Let's see, Sarmelin Downtober. TSC here, question. Do you also find it annoying that Bitcoin is tethered to the market? It needs to decouple ASAP. It does seem like more so this year than ever, right? Bitcoin's up just a little bit. I think even the market might be doing better than the Bitcoin is doing this year. So yeah, it's a little aggravating for sure. We were thinking we're gonna have a nice run up here, as historically we have with Bitcoin in October, right? December, we're not, or October, November, we're not seeing it. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. But the good thing is the miners are getting valued on their megawatts and not the Bitcoin price right now, it seems like. Dan, how likely is Cleanspark to hit 24 by year end? Can you do a technical analysis? Thanks, man. I don't do technical analysis on the charts, right? People look at that ascending wedge, descending wedge. This line looks a little funny. You got the head and shoulders. I don't do that. I just look at what is the potential value of the company going forward here, and I think the value of the company is much higher in the future if they can execute, obviously, on their AI potential. So based on that, I think somewhere between $25 and $30, I would say would be like a pretty fair price here by the end of the year. We could go up higher depending on the news that comes out, right? All it takes is one good news story on these things, and these things run like crazy. John, do you think Bitfarms will recover and go back up, or is it tanking? Also, what are your thoughts on Hive? Okay, Bitfarms, I think, will rebound here. I mean, we've seen, obviously, a lot of these guys going down here. If we look at, I mean, you got Bitfarms here on the chart. Let's take a look at the chart here. So we got to 660, right? Came all the way down to 371, went back up here, and then we've had 3 days of losses, right? If you look at some other companies here as well, they kind of follow the same pattern, right? Up, down, King, it might be the exception that one. That thing has been just going down here. Cypher, same thing, up, down, right? The last 3 days. So I think it's running with the rest of them as well. So I'm not too worried about it yet. If I saw others were going up higher, right, and Bitfarms was lagging behind and going down lower, then I'd start to get concerned. But I'm seeing the same thing happening on them as I am on others. They had a little bit more drastic pullback down, which was maybe good because it definitely got way overextended here, a little hot. So a little pullback was healthy, I think. Lowered the RSI, and then we could definitely bounce from here potentially as well, right? So, I mean, the RSI also came back down. I mean, we're pretty close to the RSI where it was at the bottom, and we're up a little bit higher in price as well. RSI is just slightly up on it, but it's not too bad. I think we go up. As long as the market continues to go, we'll go as well. All right, let's go back here. And as far as Hive, I mean, what do you want to know about Hive? Hive has done a fantastic job here growing their Bitcoin mining operations. Fantastic growth this year. They are also retrofitting some of their sites in Sweden for AI, which is great news there. They're executing on that as well. The only thing, like I've said many times before, is they don't have any facilities or operations in the United States. I don't know if that's going to be a detriment to them. Maybe they won't get as rated as highly as some of the other miners. Maybe. I don't know. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. But other than that, great company, great execution here recently, which is great to see. Let's see. Guy, when Cleanspark will run now? It should. I mean, today would have been a good day if we had more dovish Powell on December cuts. I think he was a little hawkish on it, and that's why the markets went down. But yeah, I mean, things are going to get shaken out, and then we'll continue to run here, I think, in this November. All right. Mr. X says, are you full speed with risk on stocks? It doesn't appear like it. Is it already priced in? Are you full speed with risk on stocks? I know what risk on stocks obviously are. I mean, the miners are risk on stocks. Bitcoin's a risk on stocks. It doesn't appear like it is. Is it already priced in? I don't think it's already priced in yet. I mean, the growth that we're seeing here is based on AI, and AI is not stopping anytime soon here. That's just my thoughts. All right. John says, Steven is right. Powell is a non-event. Lame duck. Miners will continue to go higher. I agree with you there. More Tim. In the 2024 September and November rate cuts, the day of the cuts and the day after markets were cautious. Took about a week for the markets to react positively. Okay, yeah. So it's just, I think it's about market being cautious, and also I think the algos as well over panicking sometimes, and then things reverse back up. JJ, what is the price target of Hive if they hit hash rate targets by January 2026? Oh, like you're talking about them getting to, what are they trying to get to, 35 exahash? I mean, that's too far out to know where things are going to be at. We don't know where Bitcoin's going to be at that point as well. I think Bitcoin's going to be higher from what's at right now. I think we're going to be in an extended cycle with Bitcoin. I could be wrong on that. But I think just based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's going to be higher. And then as far as how much revenue do they actually generate from their AI business as well, right? And how much does that grow? It's too early to tell where they could be are you talking about January this year or coming up here because we're in 2025? I was thinking 2027. So if they reach their target of 25 exahash, and where are they at right now on price? Hive is at 555. I think somewhere between 650 and 750 would be reasonable, right? If they do that and they provide some good news on AI as well, somewhere around there, I think would be good. Could go higher, which would be great. SK, what is a good buy between Cleanspark, Wolf, and BitDeer? Which will be your top picks amongst these? Wolf has done obviously, well, Wolf is doing great with, not Anthropic, but FluidStack. They got obviously nice 2 contracts with them now, and they possibly might get a 3rd contract with them as well if they wanted to expand, so they get the first dibs at that. So they'll have some more revenue on that. My only concern is I don't know how well the JV, how much of that revenue is going to be for them since they own 51%. JVs are always more complicated, but at least they get to report that revenue, but they still have to, I don't know how that's going to work out. We got to find out how that's going to work out. So that's a little muddy there on that side of things, for me at least. The And then what else we got here? We got Cleanspark and Bitdeer. Bitdeer has a lot of growth. Bitdeer has a lot of megawatts as well in the pipeline, or actually in development right now as it is. So, and they also generate their own ASICs or create their own ASICs. So they could be going up much higher with hash rate as well into next year. Based on that, I would go, probably Cleanspark and Bitdeer. I think Cleanspark, from what we've heard in the past at least, that they might be looking to go their own NeoCloud path, similar to IREN. If they do that, that's going to be huge, potentially. Or, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And Wolf doesn't seem to be, at least not right now, leaning towards being a NeoCloud. All right. Okay, what else here? Watch Nicholas says, I love Cleanspark. I love them too. Been in them for a long time. Gary says, looks like CORZ voted against CoreWeave deal or going to have a huge drop in CORZ price when they announce results tomorrow, as the deal approval price is much lower than CORZ current price. It kind of seems like, maybe some people know something on the inside that a lot of the institutions that do own shares, which way they're maybe voting, and people are, maybe seeing that that's not going to go through. Maybe, we don't know. We'll find out tomorrow or the day after, whenever they report it. All right, John, if you had to pick one, would you buy? Okay, talked about that one already. Sarah says Cleanspark. Okay. Mr. X, is Mara worth getting into? Are they also pivoting into HPC-AI? Do they own their own power source or just buying it from the grid? So they do own a wind farm, right? What is it, 130 megawatts, I think it is. I'm going off memory here. Could be wrong. I know it's like 100-some megawatts. So they do own that, but they were going to use that for their older ASIC machines to plug them in at each turbine, basically, and let them run there for the rest of their lives until they completely probably die. I don't know if there's any plans for switching that out to HPCI. They could always do that if they wanted to. They also own other sites as well. About 65% of the sites they own, and then the last 35% are hosted or with joint ventures as well, I believe. So they do have potential there. They also took on a stake in a company that develops data centers. I think they're going to be a 65% owner of that company there, I believe. So they have that. It's just they need to more eloquently put out the news that they are somehow going into HPC AI as well, or whatever. But right now, based on their Bitcoin operations, that's why I've really never got invested in Mara, because of their operations on that. So hopefully they can do better on AI than they did on Bitcoin mining. John, don't forget Trump and Xi are having their meeting now. Yeah, it's I don't know if it's over yet or if they're having it right now, but yeah, that's definitely happening today. And then also, did you guys hear that Trump ordered the Department of War to start testing again? Big atom bombs there. That's going to be kind of interesting. Based on that other countries are doing it. Obviously, Russia, I think China's probably doing it as well. Maybe it's kind of interesting. Interesting times that we're living again, that we have to do that. All right. LB, hi, Sebastian. Your opinion on ABTC, please, and thank you. So ABTC is basically asset light, right? Similar to what Kango is, similar to what Mara was in the beginning. They're asset light. They don't own any infrastructure. All the infrastructure is owned by Hut 8 there. So meaning they're going to have to pay Hut 8, obviously, something for their troubles to provide the services for the Bitcoin mining side of things, right? So it's basically like hosting, right? Whenever you host with somebody, you're going to pay a little bit more for the electricity there, and basically the cost of operations are going to be a little bit higher. So there's that. They have recently purchased some more Bitcoin, right? They're at, what are they at now? 3,000, I can't remember, 3,000 or something like that, Bitcoin. So they're looking to hodl Bitcoin as well. And that's kind of all I can tell you about them right now. We don't know. They haven't provided any operation updates as far as where they're at recently, as far as their hash rate and things like that. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes of it. I thought they were way overvalued when they first came out on the valuations. We saw miners that had much higher hash rate, being valued much less. So I think it's mainly on the Trump name there, and obviously the Hut name as well in there. But we just need to see some numbers from them as far as quarterly results on themselves and things like that to see where do they really stand at that point. Okay. All right, SK, let's see here. Did you hear about Neo robots? Any thoughts? Yeah, I saw the Neo robot that came out yesterday. It's $20,000, right? Right now, the the robot operating is actually controlled by somebody else. So there's a person behind it with like an Oculus, and they're controlling the robot there, currently at least. Eventually, when they do ship, when they're planning to ship next year, 2026, they're saying that there will be basically AI driven at that point. It will be autonomous, more or less. With some guide rails as far as where it can and can't go based on your input and right and things like that. So it's actually pretty interesting on those things. So the robots are coming, whether we like it or not. They are going to be definitely more and more in society. We're going to see those things more and more popping up. In a sense, it's good. In a sense, it's bad. I mean, obviously, I'd love to get one for like my wife, so she doesn't have to do the dishes or the cleaning. If we could get a robot that does all those things and mows my lawn and does it the proper way, then it might be worth to spend the 30, 40, maybe even $50,000 on a robot that can do that stuff and save you all the time to do then the things that you want to do. Research, right? Spend time with the family, go on bike trips, do other things. It just takes all those little things that you have to do. Now you don't have to do those. So I'm looking forward to that time. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I think it's going to be great, but we'll see, right? Okay. Gary has a question. Do you think Cleanspark purchase of Texas site was because they realized few of their current sites are large enough for... Yeah, I do think so. I think, right, they needed to... I think their biggest site, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it's like 200 megawatts. I think that's one of the biggest sites that they have. If that, I think. I have to look back at let's see if we can find it out here. Hold on. Let's see. Strange timing buying a site for 2027 development instead of current sites. Well, they want to continue to grow, right? And if you want to continue to grow, you need to get more megawatts, and that's part of it. But if we look at let me see, here's my little cheat sheet on them. Let's take a look at browser here. Where am I going to go? Cleanspark. All right. Cleanspark has... want to do that. Where's Cleanspark here? Okay, let's see. Cleanspark is yellow, and they got a bunch of sites around here. So let's see here. All right, 12 more sites. What do we got here? We got... All right, so they got 47 College Park. Norcross is 20 megawatts. Sandersville is 80 megawatts. Washington site is 36 megawatts. Dalton, unknown. Vidalia is 60 megawatts. Twin City 5.9 on Lafayette is unknown. Clinton 60.5. Knoxville is 85. Yeah, so they're under 100 megawatts, so I was actually off. I thought one of their sites was actually 200. I think a couple of their sites around the area here, I think around Georgia might be... Let's see, I don't want to click on it because it's going to dig me out. But that one's 20 megawatts. This is 47, so that's 67. They got one here, it's 36, so that's unknown. That one's 80 megawatts. So I think in Georgia they got a total maybe of close to 200 megawatts at that point. So yeah, they do have a lot of smaller sites, but they're all over the place, right? The Atlanta, Georgia sites are pretty favorable there. Even those sites over here in Tennessee and Mississippi, by Knoxville and some of those other areas are pretty good, I think. So they do have sites that they can retrofit. It's whether or not they have the fiber connectivity that's needed. That's the main thing there. And right, can they grow out that way? But again, right now you got IREN, which is building out data centers all the way up here in Prince George, McKenzie as well, right? McKenzie is an 80 megawatt site. Prince George is a 50 megawatt site. And this one over here, Canal Flats is 30 megawatt sites, right? And they're putting HPCI into those things, much smaller sites, and right, how are they being valued? So if Cleanspark does it with some of their sites as well, can you imagine what Cleanspark valuation is going to be going forward as well? So look at it that way also. It's not just that you have to have huge sites, but even having smaller sites and putting that stuff to work for you properly will be very, very good here. Obviously, IREN has a couple more sites down here, right? Sweetwater 1 and 2, that's 2 gigawatts. And then they have Childress here, which is 750 megawatts. So, and then at Childress, they're working on Horizon 1, which is supposed to be a 50 megawatt IT load, I believe, along with Horizon 2, somewhere around there as well. So, but they're building out these smaller sites for their own NeoCloud, and it's working for them. So, I mean, nothing's really stopping Cleanspark from doing the same thing, or others if they want to do, for that point. All right, let's go back here. All right, Rob, let's see here. I can't believe it that these data centers are just servers. Just pull the plug and it's all game over. Yeah, pretty much, right? Did you see the one idea that NVIDIA had for putting up like a 4 gigawatt data center basically up in space with a bunch of solar panels just pointing at the sun the whole time, getting free energy at that point? I mean, we could go that route too. Elon Musk SpaceX makes it pretty inexpensive to put things into space. Much cheaper. It might actually be cheaper to do that than build out down here. You don't need the cooling because it's freaking cold as heck up there. It might be a better way to go. Put the stuff up in space. Adam T says, I checked into Lumen. It seems like it's had its run. Maybe. Right? I'm not sure on that one. I haven't really dove too deep into it. All right, Michael, DGT has major partnership that President Trump owns 52% of the company shares and buyback. They're making a major run last 2 days, 1630 uptrend that Powell can't control. President Trump is in charge. Okay. Victor, question for Cleanspark to earn revenue gonna take at least 1 to 2 years. Won't it be better for being in HPCI miners that are generating revenue? Well, again, right, that's for that site alone, but they have a bunch of other sites they could retrofit and put in, Blackwells, whatever they want to put into those, the H100s, or probably not the H100s, but like the B200s, and then they're going into Blackwells and maybe forward from there. And they can start generating revenue from that. But they need to do something. They need to test out the possibility. They need to, kind of like IREN did. IREN did the same thing. IREN did, small servers at first, and then they kind of continued to grow that as word got out that they are offering these things, and they were able to, increase it now to 23,000 GPUs. So the roadmap and the path forward has been already designed by IREN, more or less. It's just now who has the guts to copy that and actually execute on it as well as IREN has, right? Or even better, potentially. So that's just my take on that. Let's see, talking about that one. Michael says DGT owns 2.3 billion of Bitcoin that President Trump has made over $1 billion in Bitcoin this year by a big report. I saw that as well. Let's see, DJ owns 50% of shares of the company. That company has buybacks also. Okay. Let's see here. Gary, are you still confident on Cleanspark promises to increase exahash to 60 exahash by year end? 5 months since they promised shareholders, but no growth and only 2 months left in 2020. Yeah, they've been kind of quiet on that. Not sure what's going on there. Definitely will want to hear what they have to say during their conference call on the quarterly results there. Would like to have at least some update on that. All right, Adam says, would you agree, all things considered, that IREN is by far the best business in the space right now? Yes, I would agree. All right, SK, with the new deal, is Wolf undervalued? Again, right, the 59% JV that they have there, 51% JV, how does that get split on the revenue, right? They reported 9.5 billion over the 25 years, and there's a caveat in there, it could go down to 20 to 15 years as well. So it's kind of like, what's the actual numbers there? What's the actual numbers that they're going to be generating there? So I'm not sure on that. I need some more clarity on it. All right. Let's see. God's will. Hi, Seb. With everything that is happening in the market, is there still hope of Bitcoin reaching 150,000 by the end of the year? I mean, right now, the way it's going, we'll be lucky if we get to 135,000 by the end of the year. But 150,000 is doable, right? If the stars align for us and things go up nicely here. All right, JD, what Bitcoin correlated play do you think bounces back the hardest? Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, well, bounces back the hardest, I would say. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin goes up nicely. The miners will benefit from that, but I don't think it's going to be driving the miners' prices up that much, because we've actually seen Bitcoin be flat here, and the miners are outperforming Bitcoin tremendously in the last 3 to 4, even 5, 6 months. So I don't know. Sarah says, yes, Trump elected Powell. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Andrea says the same thing. Thank you, Powell. Yeah. So my memory's still not all that bad. Rob, no, Trump has been wanting to get rid of Powell. No different than Fauci for the longest of time. There is a difference between those two. Right, Powell, I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, I think Powell has done a pretty good job here overall, right? Has he done a perfect job? No. But overall, he's done a pretty good job stabilizing the economy. I mean, we've had a pretty nice run here in the markets. So if you look at it that way, he's done actually a pretty good job, right? You want him to be cautious. You want him to be just, knee-jerk and pulling things willy-nilly, right? So I think he's done an okay job. I'm not too disappointed with Powell. Better to be cautious, especially when you're dealing with a huge economy like the United States. You don't want to just go whack stuff and then go, oh, well, we whacked that maybe too fast or too strong. So I'd rather go slow and steady than crazy nilly. Trade Wiki. Jay Powell was very positive and stated all the facts. Nothing is guaranteed. The date will determine whether there is a cut in December or not. Why hate Powell? I don't hate Powell. Yeah, I think he did the right thing. That's kind of what I expected him to say, right? I don't expect him to go, yeah, rate cuts in 100%, right? No, he's not going to say that. I expect him to say, we'll see when the time comes on that, what the data shows and everything else. So, yeah. JD says Trump made him the chairman. Yes, okay, yep, I was correct on that. Cleanspark price action was quite disappointing yesterday, up 8% on the news and ultimately turned red. Yeah, everything pretty much turned red on the news today. The MD says Trump now in Busan, South Korea. If you were to wager a guess on U.S. announcing the framework of a new deal, what chances would you give on that tomorrow? Any positive news? Markets fly. If not, it will tank. Yeah, I think it sounds like the latest posts from Trump and team there were quite encouraging. So I think we might get a deal there. GD says that Indiana data center is projected to use the same amount of energy as half the state of Indiana. Energy investment will be needed. Yes. Yeah. Excuse me. I saw somewhere like 1 million homes or something like that, roughly. Trade Wiki, Adam T, Cypher, and Wolf have already contracted with companies. Why do you think IREN is better? They own the infrastructure. They own the servers. They own the customers. That's why they're possibly better at that point, right? You get better margins from that than just becoming a renter or a leaser of infrastructure and things like that. All right, Diesel. What happened to you saying Papa Powell no more? Papa Powell? Jeez, I forgot about that. Yeah, but Papa Powell, yeah, we used to say that a lot. All right, Rob. Yes, he made him a chairman, but after the way he acts while on the job, Trump was not impressed and has wanted him out. Yeah, well, I know that. All right. So you were impressed enough to hire him, but not impressed with him afterwards because he's not doing what you want to do, right? So that's why we have checks and balances in place a little bit, I think. Let's see. JD needs a scapegoat for economy issues. Welcome to politics. Yeah. Trade. They say Powell has done a good job in bringing in the inflation down. Yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of what I said also. So I agree. You don't want to, like I said, be willy-nilly with the economy. You got to go a little bit more measured, a little bit more kind of like investing in a sense as well, right? You kind of have to know what you own, what you got, and look at all the data that's happening there. You can't just be throwing cash all over the place. Victor, question: Cypher versus Cypher. AR current prices. Which one would you choose? Cypher versus Cypher? Well, I guess Cypher there. Steven, might take buy Riot over Cleanspark. Wolf having good vested. Wolf having Google vested is huge. Yeah, it definitely helps out there. But yeah, buy Riot. Riot does have megawatts available right now that they could do something with, but it's been a while and they haven't done anything with it yet. So we'll see. Rob, that's if you are listening to mainstream media about Powell doing a good job, listen to Trump instead. Well, I'm not going to take everything that Trump says with, as gospel. I just look at what Powell has done over the last couple of years. Has he been perfect? No. But has he done a pretty good job? Yeah. Right? Trump wants to obviously lower rates as fast as possible. I don't know if that's always a good idea. Yeah. JD says, I just look at the data. Same here. I agree with you there. Let's see, Trade Wiki, why President Trump resolved the issue with the government shutdown? Why hasn't he? I think it's because the Democrats are, wanting too much and for something or that. I'm not in the weeds on that too much, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I know it's something to do with the Democrats. Rob from Crazy Coconuts, don't know what that is. Paul, in my opinion, even if Powell was dovish and did rate cut, there would have still been a manipulation excuse to dump the pump days later. Almost always happens that way. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I'm not too worried about this. As much as I like President Trump, he is far from being perfect or right about everything. I I agree with you there 100% on that, right? None of the presidents are perfect 100%. Everybody has their little quirks, their, things that you like about him or you don't like about him. It's, it is, I think that's a good way to look at things. You can't be just blind in one thing. You got to have objective. You got to look things through a different lens sometimes, through different people's shoes as well. You can't just be blind about those things. Or because you're, I've been a lifelong Republican. Okay, that's great, but there's things that I don't like about the Republican Party, right? There's not everything that obviously Democrats like about the Democratic Party as well, probably. So I'm kind of like in the, I wouldn't say like center, but obviously more Republican than in the center there. All right, Rob. The robots will turn you into a slob and worsen your health and put a person into a grave 10 years early. If you don't stay active, yeah. If you become a couch potato and you got the robot doing everything for you, then yes, you might be actually in the grave a lot sooner than that. But if you stay active, it gives you time to do things outside, things that you want to do, instead of things that you have to do. JD says, Azure going out today stopped my whole team's workflow. Last week, AWS makes me wonder if cyber warfare at play and how badly we need decentralized cloud. You obviously don't want to have all your bags in one spot, right? On anything. You want to have backups. You want to have other systems that can be, spun up quickly. And that's the great thing about the cloud is you can have instances in AWS and Google and Azure, wherever they are, whatever they might be. And then if one goes down, you can, have backups between those two systems or even maybe three systems, and you can spun up a system relatively quickly within minutes, right? And you can be back up and running. So it is doable. All right. Let's see. EDB question: price target for CORZ if they reject the CoreWeave offer at that point. Well, we know. I mean, here's the hard part on that. We know that they have a contract in place with CoreWeave, regardless, right? For another, 12, 13 years now left, maybe, or is it still 15? I can't remember. But we have a deal in place for that. We know what the revenue is going to be on that. So the next part, I think they'll get re-rated if the deal falls through. I think they'll go to like $25, $30, something like that. And then going forward, they will need to provide some kind of guidance as far as are they going to become a neocloud themselves? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to continue this path of co-location, things like that? We'll need some more information from that point, I think. All right, Paul. Whales and insiders always find an excuse to manipulate the pump and dump news, so they hide behind them, so they rather look incompetent than criminals, okay? That is also true there. Trade Rookie, smash likes for continuous APCI, BTC miner alpha on most weeknights. I appreciate that. Thank you. Krish, so what is the new price target for Cleanspark? Cleanspark for me has always been $25 to $35, at least right now. Right, if they provide some news on going into Neo Cloud, they're going to be buying their own servers, we could bump them up at that point higher. Okay. All right. Let's see. Orcon build out 2 gigawatts. I'm not sure if you were replying to. I'm sorry, I missed one. We get a deal with China, the market, Bitcoin and miners fly. Yep. We expect that, and then build out 2 gigawatts. I'm not sure if you were talking about Cleanspark. There was somebody else. Hey, Seb, IREN is working on Horizon 150 megawatt. How long now? They're supposed to have that up and running at the end of this year, early next year. As an investor, it's a bit scary if they can execute data centers and get them running as fast as BTC side. If 50 megawatts takes this long, how can they do it? Well, they've been working on Horizon 1 for what now? 9 months? If I'm not mistaken, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think it's been like 9 months since they announced it, I think. And they're now working on Horizon 2 as well, right? But this is all their own. They're putting in their own servers, things like that. That costs a little bit more. I think if they weren't doing that, they could have been building out sites much faster because you don't need as much capital at that point. All right, space data centers equals unlimited solar plus passive cooling from space. Yeah, yep. And all you need to do is put up the servers up there and a bunch of solar panels. That's an interesting idea. All right, MT Trade Rookie IREN has the best CEO execution, most gigawatts, doubling cloud as a service, and huge head start. Cleanspark won't arrive where IREN is until 2027. Yeah, IREN obviously has a year ahead of them, head start there. So yes, but again, remember Cleanspark came in kind of late to this party, right? 2021. to Bitcoin mining as well. Well, to Bitcoin mining, and then they became like the top, within the top 3 Bitcoin miners, right, as far as size in the shortest amount of time as well. So I don't put anything past them to execute very, very well if they want to going forward as well. All right. Question IREN from Gary here. IREN built data centers that were AI HPC compatible in 3 Canadian sites that can run air-cooled GPUs. None of the Cleanspark current sites have data centers that can host GPU, and air-cooled won't work in South. They have they have one of the sites in Georgia, Atlanta, that was a data center site that can be converted over into liquid cooling. Okay, maybe it might be even 2 sites. I'm pretty sure of 1 site at least. Paul, it looks like Hive and Bitfarms held steady today with the news, probably because they were dumping too much lately and steadied out. Yeah, that was also, I saw that too. Heinzie, question, are you bullish on Cleanspark? Yep, still bullish. How about you guys? CJ, we are bullish on Blue Jays. I don't follow the Blue Jays, but okay. Paul Brown, people that want Powell fired don't know what they're talking about. He's just the spokesperson who translates best what the Fed wants him to say. Well, the Fed governor's there, I guess. I mean, they all vote on it, right? Rob says, if Trump does make a deal with China, will this help the price of BTC and the miners? It should. I think that kind of will squash any concerns there, the fears, right? JD question, Nibius thoughts. Nibius has done a fantastic job here recently. It's done obviously very well. I don't track them. I don't cover them right now. I probably should though, just to see where they are compared to the other miners as well. Gary Powell was way late to raise rates, and history will likely show he was way late to lowering them. Still not a Fauci level on damage done to the United States. Well, but then again, I mean, that's always hindsight, right? When you're in it, it's, you're going by the data that you're seeing, and it's not easy, right? Hindsight, we can all quarterback and coach and QB or all the stuff that we want to do afterwards, but being in it, right, it's not easy. Victor C. question, I meant Cleanspark versus Cypher. Okay. I mean, I would say both of them. I think Cleanspark, so Cypher has more megawatts currently than Cleanspark does. So based on megawatts, I would go with Cleanspark. But if Cleanspark can catch up on that and continue to execute on that, they do have obviously a lot of money generated from Bitcoin mining. They're double the size of Cypher when it comes to that. They do also have a lot of sites that are smaller. They're making the transfer. It's truly. But right now, based on megawatts, I would say Cypher, but they can change. But I don't know a lot of Cleanspark. I don't know actually a lot more than Cypher I do. All right. Simon says Democrats need 3 more votes. They're holding up the shutdown. Okay. Artist One says Bitfarms back to $1. No, I don't think that. Rob says sit on it. Artist One. Okay. Why are you not in Hive? I was in Hive in 2017 through 2022, 2023 when I finally sold it. I didn't like the growth trajectory that they had at that time, at least. And then recently here, I do like the growth that they're having, but I'm not in them because they don't have any operations in the United States. That's my main reason, at least right now. Could they do very well? Yeah, I think they will do very well outside, but they could possibly do better if they were in the United States, I think. I think there's more money flowing into companies that have operations in the United States. That's just my take. All right. Orca, a question. I meant if 15 megawatt horizon takes 9 months, how can IREN build out the 2 gigawatts or 2 gigawatts? Well, this is a learning process, right? You got to first learn to crawl, then walk, and then run. So the sites being built out in Canada were the crawl. The walk here is now the sites Horizon 1 and 2. And then they will run with the 2 gigawatts once they know what, all the stuff that goes into it. So that's kind of the way I look at it. We've obviously seen Amazon build out a huge data center warehouse, but they have, they're valued much, much higher market cap than IREN is, and that takes a lot of capital. So give it time. I think they'll find a way to do it. All right. Let's see. Gary says, I doubt any miners besides IREN will become a neocloud. IREN was able to work out errors on cheap hoppers. New Blackwells and soon Rubens are a huge cost risk to experimental learning the space. Other people will have learned on their behalf. So it always goes that way, right? New people that take on new technology will be kind of like the guinea pigs. They'll figure things out, they'll get things squared away, get things solved, and then it makes it much easier for the next person that gets into it at that point. So I don't think that's not. I wouldn't take that as a disadvantage at all. Okay. Let's see here. Orcon says they need a deal for those sites, and NeoCloud won't be done in Sweetwater sites. Well, we don't know. We honestly don't know, right? If they continue to have good interest, we just don't know. All right. Rob asks, are you in Bitfarms? Yes. I still have about 11,000 shares of Bitfarms right now as it is. But no financial advice. You're someone who crunches a lot of numbers and knows a lot about the industry, and you're in IREN, Cypher, Cleanspark, Bitfarms. That tells me that these companies may be better choices. Okay. Yeah, you're very welcome. It's not, as always, not financial advice. It's just doing all the research, right? The reason we got into Cleanspark was because of the large growth, which translated to having large megawatts. The reason we got into, or at least the reason I got into IREN, was large growth, which translated to large megawatts. And then we had, obviously, Bitfarms, large growth, and then Cypher, obviously, a lot of megawatts as well. So that's the reason we got into those. As we saw things kind of changing in the industry from Bitcoin mining to more so on the megawatts potential for AI. So that definitely helped with all the research that we've done here. Okay? All right, it seems like I've come to all your guys' questions here. Greatly appreciate you guys coming in. We'll see what tomorrow is like. Tomorrow, Riot is supposed to report, I believe, their quarterly results. So we'll cover that. We'll see how the markets do, how Bitcoin does, how the miners do, and then we'll see whatever else happens. So, all right. Thank you so much for coming in. As always, greatly appreciate you guys. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.